19 countries. Not next year. Not in 5 years. Right now, 19 nations have formally submitted applications to join the BRICS alliance. They are lining up to exit the dollar system. They are choosing sides, and they are not choosing America. This is not speculation from conspiracy theorists. This is from the official BRICS 2025 summit preparatory documents. The applications are in. The membership committee is reviewing them. And according to sources inside the South African Foreign Ministry, at least 13 will be approved before year end. When the original BRICS formed in 2009, it was 5 countries representing 40% of the world's population. When BRICS Plus expanded in 2024, it became 11 countries representing 46% of global GDP. Now, with 19 more applications pending, we are watching the formation of an economic bloc that will dwarf anything the Western world has ever faced. Combined, BRICS Plus and the applicant nations control 72% of global oil reserves, 65% of rare earth minerals, 58% of the world's agricultural output, 55% of global population. And most critically, they are building a financial system that does not need the dollar, does not use the dollar, does not want the dollar. The petrodollar that has dominated global trade for 50 years is being surrounded, encircled, starved of relevance, and the 19 new applications just tighten the noose. Let me show you exactly which countries are joining, what it means for dollar dominance, and why this is the most significant geopolitical shift of your lifetime. To understand why 19 new BRICS applications represent the dollar's worst nightmare, you need to understand what BRICS actually is and why it was created. BRICS began in 2009 as an informal grouping of emerging economies. Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa joined in 2010, completing the original 5. The concept was simple. These were large, fast-growing nations that felt underrepresented in Western-dominated institutions like the IMF and World Bank. For years, BRICS was mostly a talking shop. Annual summits, photo opportunities, joint statements that nobody read. Western analysts dismissed it as a loose coalition with no real power. They said the members had too little in common. Brazil and Russia compete in commodities. India and China have border disputes. There was no cohesion. That analysis was wrong. What unites BRICS is not what they share. It is what they oppose. They oppose dollar hegemony. They oppose American financial warfare. They oppose a system where the United States can freeze any nation's assets, sanction any economy, and exclude anyone from global trade with the push of a button. The wake-up call came in February 2022, when America froze $300 billion in Russian central bank reserves overnight. Every non-Western nation understood the message. Your dollar reserves are not yours. They are hostages. They exist at America's pleasure. And if you displease Washington, they disappear. BRICS went from talking shop to action mode. The 2023 summit in South Africa announced expansion. Saudi Arabia, UAE, Iran, Egypt, Ethiopia, and Argentina were invited to join. Argentina later declined under a new government, but the others accepted. BRICS became BRICS Plus in January 2024. The expanded bloc now represents 46% of global GDP. 40% of global oil production. Over 3.5 billion people. It is no longer a coalition of the excluded. It is an alternative power center that rivals the G7. But the 2024 expansion was just the beginning. The real story is the flood of applications that followed. Countries that were watching from the sidelines saw the momentum and decided to join. The fence-sitters picked a side, and that side is not America. Let me walk you through who has applied and why each application matters. Because this is not a random list. It is a strategic map of dollar abandonment. The first group is energy powerhouses. Algeria has applied. They are Africa's largest natural gas exporter. They supply 11% of Europe's natural gas. They have been frustrated by Western attempts to dictate energy policy and see BRICS as a path to energy independence from Western influence. Venezuela has applied. They hold the world's largest proven oil reserves, larger than Saudi Arabia. They have been under crushing American sanctions for years. BRICS membership offers access to alternative markets, alternative financing, and alternative payment systems that bypass the dollar. Kazakhstan has applied. They are a major oil and uranium producer. They share a massive border with Russia and China. They have been carefully balancing between East and West, but the direction is now clear. The application signals they have chosen. Nigeria has applied. Africa's largest oil producer, the largest economy on the continent. Their application is seismic because Nigeria has traditionally been aligned with Western interests. Their pivot toward BRICS indicates that even America's African allies see the writing on the wall. The second group is strategic geographic positions. Turkey has applied. This is perhaps the most shocking application. Turkey is a NATO member. They host American nuclear weapons. They have been a cornerstone of Western security architecture for 70 years. And they just applied to join the alliance explicitly designed to counter Western dominance. Turkey's application signals that even formal American allies are hedging. They want access to the alternative system. They want options. They do not trust that the dollar system will serve their interests in the coming decades. Indonesia has applied, the fourth most populous country on Earth, the largest economy in Southeast Asia, a founding member of the non-aligned movement. Their application brings 275 million people into the BRICS orbit. It signals that ASEAN's largest member is tilting east. Vietnam has applied, a manufacturing powerhouse that has benefited enormously from companies leaving China, but they are applying to join the bloc that includes China. This tells you that economic relationships transcend political rivalries. Vietnam sees more opportunity in BRICS than in continued dollar dependence. Thailand has applied, another ASEAN economy pivoting toward the new bloc. Combined with Indonesia and Vietnam, Southeast Asia is clearly hedging against dollar dominance. The third group is resource-rich emerging markets. Democratic Republic of Congo has applied. They control 70% of global cobalt production. Cobalt is essential for electric vehicle batteries. Whoever controls Congo's resources controls the EV supply chain. China has already invested heavily there. DRC joining BRICS formalizes that alignment. Bolivia has applied. They hold the world's largest lithium reserves. Lithium is the new oil. Bolivia joining BRICS means another critical battery mineral falls under the bloc's influence. Zimbabwe has applied. They have platinum, gold, and diamond reserves. They have been under Western sanctions for decades. BRICS offers rehabilitation and access to capital. Senegal has applied. They recently discovered significant offshore oil and gas reserves. They are positioning for their energy future within the BRICS framework. The fourth group is strategic swing states. Pakistan has applied. A nuclear power with 230 million people. Historically close to China. They have been frustrated with American fickleness and see BRICS as a more reliable partnership. Bangladesh has applied. 170 million people. A growing manufacturing hub. Another South Asian giant choosing the alternative system. Cuba has applied. They have been under American sanctions since 1962. BRICS offers a path out of economic isolation. Belarus has applied, closely aligned with Russia. Their application is expected but still significant for formalizing the bloc's Eastern European footprint. Syria has applied, emerging from civil war, seeking investment and reconstruction. Western sanctions have pushed them toward alternative alliances. Sri Lanka has applied. After their 2022 economic crisis and IMF bailout, they are looking for alternatives to Western financial institutions. Myanmar has applied. Under Western sanctions since the 2021 coup, they have nowhere else to go. BRICS is their only option for international engagement. Let me give you the combined statistics. The current BRICS Plus members plus the 19 applicants would represent 67% of global population, 58% of global GDP on a purchasing power parity basis, 72% of global oil reserves, 65% of rare earth elements, 55% of global food production. This is not a fringe movement. This is the majority of humanity organizing an alternative to American financial dominance. The applications only matter because of what BRICS is building. Because this is not just a political alliance, it is a complete alternative financial infrastructure. Let me show you the architecture. System 1. The BRICS Payment Network. This is the direct alternative to SWIFT. It is called the Cross-Border Payment Initiative, and it allows member nations to settle trade in their own currencies without touching the dollar. China's CIPS system is the backbone. Russia's SPFS provides redundancy. The network can process transactions entirely outside Western visibility. If you are Saudi Arabia and want to sell oil to India, you no longer need dollars. Saudi receives rupees. India receives oil. The transaction settles on the BRICS network. America never sees it. America cannot stop it. America cannot sanction it. System 2. The BRICS Currency Unit. This is the settlement mechanism that reduces friction between different national currencies. Rather than converting yuan to rupees to rubles for every transaction, the BRICS unit provides a common denominator. The unit is backed 40% by gold and 60% by a basket of member currencies. It is not a replacement for national currencies. It is a settlement layer that makes multi-currency trade efficient. Think of it like the euro, but for international trade rather than domestic use. System 3. The New Development Bank. This is the BRICS alternative to the World Bank and IMF. It provides development financing without the political conditions that Western institutions attach. When the IMF gives a loan, it demands austerity, privatization, and policy changes. When the NDB gives a loan, it demands repayment. That is it. The NDB has already funded over $35 billion in projects. Infrastructure in Brazil, energy in South Africa, transportation in India, and critically, it lends in local currencies, reducing borrower exposure to dollar fluctuations. System 4. The BRICS Commodity Exchange. This is the infrastructure for pricing commodities in non-dollar terms. Oil, gas, gold, silver, copper, agricultural products. If BRICS controls 72% of global oil reserves and builds an exchange that prices oil in yuan or the unit, the petrodollar becomes irrelevant. The Shanghai Gold Exchange already prices gold in yuan. The Shanghai International Energy Exchange prices oil futures in yuan. These exchanges are growing. They are gaining volume. They are proving the concept works. System 5. Central Bank Digital Currency Integration. Multiple BRICS members are developing CBDCs. China's digital yuan is already deployed domestically. India is testing the digital rupee. Russia is piloting the digital ruble. Brazil is launching DREX. The plan is to make these CBDCs interoperable across the BRICS payment network. Instant settlement, $0 exposure, complete bypass of Western financial infrastructure. This is not theoretical. This is built. It is operational. It is scaling. And 19 more countries want access to it. To understand how fast this can change the world, look at how fast the dollar rose to dominance. Because what took decades to build can collapse in years. The Bretton Woods Conference established the dollar as the global reserve currency. It happened in a single summer. The British pound, which had dominated for a century, was displaced in months. The world reorganized around the dollar, not gradually, but suddenly. Nixon closed the gold window. The dollar's link to gold, which had been the foundation of its credibility, was severed overnight. The world could have abandoned the dollar then. They did not because there was no alternative. OPEC's oil was priced in dollars. The petrodollar recycling mechanism was established. The dollar survived by becoming essential. The Soviet Union collapsed. The ruble zone disintegrated. 15 new countries suddenly needed a reserve currency. They chose the dollar by default because there was nothing else. Dollar dominance expanded not through American merit, but through lack of alternatives. The financial crisis. The dollar's credibility cracked. China's central bank openly questioned dollar hegemony. The BRICS concept emerged, but there was still no alternative infrastructure. The dollar survived because replacing it required building something new. That takes time. Russia sanctions, the trigger event, $300 billion frozen. The world saw that dollar reserves are not safe. They are weapons. This accelerated BRICS from concept to construction. 2024-2025. The applications flood in. 19 countries want out of the dollar system, not because they hate America, because they watched what happened to Russia, because they see what might happen to them, because the alternative now exists. The pattern in monetary history is clear. Transitions happen slowly, then suddenly. There is a long period of growing dissatisfaction, growing alternatives, growing cracks, then a triggering event, and then rapid, irreversible change. We are in the growing cracks phase. The 19 applications are acceleration. The triggering event could be anything: a war, a financial crisis, a failed treasury auction, a sanctions overreach. When it comes, the transition will not take decades. It will take months. Let me explain exactly how 19 BRICS applications affect you personally. Because this is not foreign policy theory. This is about the value of your money, the cost of your life, and the security of your savings. First, reduced dollar demand means reduced dollar value. When 67% of humanity can trade without dollars, they need fewer dollar reserves. When Saudi Arabia accepts yuan for oil, they hold fewer dollars. When Indonesia settles trade with China in local currencies, they hold fewer dollars. When 19 new countries join a non-dollar system, dollar demand falls. Less demand means lower value. Your dollars buy less. Your savings lose purchasing power. Your standard of living declines. Not because you did anything wrong, but because the world decided it no longer needs your currency. Second, higher interest rates become permanent. Foreign central banks hold approximately $7 trillion in U.S. Treasury bonds. They bought those bonds because they needed dollar reserves. When they need fewer reserves, they buy fewer bonds. They might sell existing bonds to fund the transition. The U.S. government borrows $2 trillion per year. If foreign demand decreases, domestic buyers must absorb more. To attract domestic buyers, rates must rise. Mortgage rates, business loan rates, credit card rates, all permanently elevated because the world stopped subsidizing American borrowing. Third, inflation accelerates from import costs. America imports approximately $3 trillion in goods annually. Most of that trade is priced in dollars. When the dollar weakens, imports cost more. Electronics from Asia, oil from the Middle East, manufactured goods from everywhere. The BRICS expansion is a structural force pushing the dollar lower. A weaker dollar means everything you import costs more. That is inflation that the Federal Reserve cannot control because it originates outside American borders. Fourth, energy security becomes precarious. If BRICS controls 72% of global oil reserves and builds infrastructure to price oil in non-dollar terms, American access to energy becomes negotiable. We would need to earn the currencies that oil is priced in. We would need to export goods and services rather than simply printing dollars. This is a fundamental change in American economic privilege. For 50 years, we bought oil with printed money. That privilege is ending. Fifth, geopolitical leverage evaporates. American power rests on the ability to sanction, to freeze assets, to exclude nations from the global economy. When there is an alternative economy, sanctions lose teeth. Russia has survived sanctions because BRICS provides an alternative. Iran trades with China despite sanctions. Venezuela sells oil to partners despite sanctions. As BRICS expands, American sanctions become symbolic rather than crippling. Our ability to coerce without military force disappears. Our position in the world diminishes. So what do you do when 19 countries are building the alternative to the system your wealth is denominated in? How do you protect yourself from the decline of dollar dominance? Step 1. Accept the reality that diversification is no longer optional. For 80 years, Americans could hold 100% of their wealth in dollar assets and feel safe. The dollar was king. There was no alternative. That era is ending. You need assets that hold value regardless of dollar strength, assets that are priced globally, not just domestically, assets that the BRICS bloc wants as much as the Western world wants. This is not paranoia, this is prudent financial planning for a multipolar world. Step 2. Build a physical precious metals position. Gold and silver are the assets that BRICS central banks are accumulating at record rates. They are buying gold because it is the neutral reserve asset. It cannot be frozen, it cannot be sanctioned. It exists outside any nation's control. If BRICS central banks see gold as the foundation of the new system, you should own some. If you have $500, buy 15 ounces of silver. Physical metal in your possession. This is your starter position in the asset class that is replacing the dollar in global reserves. If you have $20,500, buy 70 ounces of silver and a quarter ounce of gold. Mix your metals. Build diversification within the precious metals allocation. If you have $10,000, buy 200 ounces of silver and 1 full ounce of gold. Split storage between home and a private vault. If you have $50,000, allocate $12,000 to $15,000 to physical metals, 400 ounces of silver, 3 to 4 ounces of gold. Consider international storage for a portion. If you have $100,000 or more, target 25% to 30% in hard assets. Physical metals, productive land, commodities, assets that hold value in a world where the dollar is no longer supreme. Step 3. Reduce long-duration dollar exposure. Long-term bonds, 10-year and 30-year treasuries are ground zero for dollar decline. If foreign demand evaporates and the Fed must print to buy bonds, long-duration holders suffer most. Move to short-duration instruments, treasury bills, money market funds, anything that matures quickly and can be repositioned as conditions change. Step 4. Gain exposure to BRICS economies. Not all of your wealth should flee dollars, but some should go where the growth is. Emerging market funds focused on India, Brazil, Indonesia, and Vietnam. Commodity producers that benefit from BRICS demand. Companies that sell to the growing BRICS consumer base. The American market is 4% of global population with 25% of global market capitalization. That ratio is normalizing. Own assets in the other 96%. Step 5. Think about income diversification. If the dollar declines, dollar-denominated wages lose purchasing power. Consider income streams that are not purely dollar-based, skills that are valuable internationally, remote work for companies that pay in other currencies, businesses that can price in multiple currencies. This is advanced planning. Not everyone can do it. But thinking about income diversification now prepares you for a world where dollar supremacy ends. Step 6. Stay informed as the expansion progresses. The 19 applications will be processed over the coming months. Some will be approved, some will be deferred. Each announcement shifts the balance. Each new member accelerates de-dollarization. I track BRICS developments continuously and share analysis on this channel. Subscribe and turn on notifications. When major announcements occur, when new members are approved, when the payment systems launch new features, you will know. 19 countries have applied to join BRICS. 13 are expected to be approved this year. Combined with existing members, the bloc will represent 2/3 of humanity and nearly 3/4 of global oil. The dollar's worst nightmare is not a sudden collapse. It is slow irrelevance, a gradual shrinking of the world that needs American currency. And that shrinking just accelerated dramatically. But the BRICS expansion is only part of the de-dollarization picture. There is a specific event on the calendar that will mark the official end of dollar exclusivity in oil markets. It happens in less than 30 days. It has been 50 years in the making. And when it occurs, the petrodollar era officially ends. I reveal exactly what that event is and how to position yourself in this video right here. Click it now. The BRICS expansion is the army. The calendar event is the invasion date. Make sure you are ready. I will see you there.